everyone. I'm John Evans. Welcome to another episode of One on One. Devontae Cacok has solidified himself as one of the best players to ever put on a UNCW basketball uniform. At 6'7", he's grabbed more rebounds than anybody else in the history of the program. In fact, as a junior last year, he led the country in rebounding. The year before that, he was the best in the nation in field goal percentage. But when you ask this impressive young man about those accomplishments, he smiles, shrugs, and says, "Those are just numbers." Those numbers may not have happened, though, had it not been for a broken wrist. Devontae Cacok, welcome to the One-on-One with John Evans podcast.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
I'm glad you're able to find the time in your busy schedule. A lot of things I want to talk to you about. Number one, does it ever get easier? People going, "Whoa, you're tall."
Well, I've kind of gotten that since I got this tall. And even before, like, basketball was really a thing for me, I kind of just got used to everybody looking at me and people like, "Wow, how tall are you? Do you play basketball? Where do you play at?" Type stuff like that. But over time, I just got used to it, and it's something that it's just become a part of me now, so it's nothing too crazy.
Did you have a growth spurt at any point in time? I remember growing up, I was taller than a lot of the other kids early, and then I kind of plateaued out. Yeah. When did Devontae all of a sudden start getting taller than a lot of the friends and other kids in school?
So 8th grade, I think I was about like 5'10", 5'11", somewhere around there. And then going into my 9th grade year, that's when I hit my growth spurt. I hit about like 6 to 7 inches after that. And it was kind of crazy how fast it happened. And then, of course, growing that fast, I had a little bit of a small frame, but I kind of had to just gain a little bit of weight to try and even out a little bit. But over time, I kind of got it. But it did happen crazy. Like, my knees were hurting. I had a lot of different pains going on throughout my body and stuff like that I wasn't used to before. But once I kind of went to the doctor and figured out what was going on, they told me, like, I still might grow a little bit. Even then, I was just like, I'll take the inches because I kind of need it. And then once I started playing basketball, it just kind of worked out for me. Why
didn't you play basketball at a young age? Because of your frame? I mean, did you not have the idea to want to play basketball? Because you didn't start playing until like 9th grade, right?
Yeah. Well, I never really thought about basketball ever until high school, really. And basketball was not really my thing at all. I was more of a football type of guy. Football was like my main thing. That was the one thing I really wanted to play. And then it just kind of, the timing of me playing football, me breaking my wrist, I don't know if you knew about that, but broke my wrist. And then the basketball coach in my middle school at the time came up to me and asked me a little bit about basketball if I ever played. And I didn't know anything about basketball. I didn't know how to play it. I didn't know what it really was. I just knew it was a basketball rim. That's about it. But he said he wanted to teach me a little bit of things, and from there it kind of took off. And if it really wasn't for him, that coach at the time, I wouldn't be playing basketball right now. So it's kind of crazy how things happen, and the timing of things, how it happened, and meeting people at the right time, and just stuff like that helping me to get to where I am today.
Is that Coach Brooks, Ernest Brooks?
No, it's actually a middle school coach. His name is Coach Tucker.
Okay.
Yeah, he was at my middle school, Sequoia Middle School in Riverdale.
Yeah.
And every time I go back home to Georgia, I try to go back and see them. And it actually wasn't too long ago. I went back to the middle school, that same middle school, and was able to talk to the kids a little bit and just kind of give them some hope, because not a lot of people out of Riverdale make it out. So it was kind of good to talk to them and show them, like, I used to be one of them. And just try to give them the motivation, like, if you just work hard, you can do and accomplish a lot of things in life.
I've seen some videos of you talking to schools here, going in and talking to kids. What is your message? Because obviously when they hear, "Wow, basketball player," and then they see 6'8" basketball player, once that wears off, what is the message that you try to get to them? Because they're going to look up to you, not just physically, but hey, you've taken the time to come into my class. What do you try to get across to them?
Well, the main thing I do try to get across besides basketball is academics. My mother, she was really big on my academics. I remember when I was little and I came back from school, she checked my grades, made sure everything was on point, and if it wasn't,
Uh-oh.
there's going to be some type of consequences. So my mom, she it kind of started with her, and me realizing how important grades really are really did help me to doing a lot of things. And you may not know it, having a bad grade here could set you back later on down the road.
Mm-hmm.
But she started that, and that's kind of the big thing I try to give out to these kids nowadays, that education is something that nobody can take away from you. Like, and for me, sooner or later, basketball is going to stop. And then I'm going to graduate from UNCW with my degree, and that's something that not a lot of people have. And that's something that nobody can take away from you. And doing your best in middle school, doing your best in high school, doing your best in college, being able to get those grades and stuff like that to help you in your future besides other things like that, it can go a long way. And I also try to tell them, like, especially the kids here in Wilmington, that for me, if it wasn't for, like, basketball, I wouldn't be able to get this education. And besides it being basketball, they could get academic scholarship to any college that they want, as long as they do very good in their class and stuff like that. And, like, some of the teachers did talk to me before, like, I would talk to them, and they told me, like, some of the kids don't really take school and academics as seriously as they should. And when I heard that, I'm like, all right, we gotta talk a little bit about this, because it's something big. And I did want to be that one person to try to encourage and tell kids, because some people do look up to me, and to hear it coming from me, I think it does go a long way for them to kind of understand what I have, or what's good for them.
Yeah. Now, you were born in Chicago, grew up, I guess, part of the time in Wisconsin as well, right?
Barely, but it was just,
barely. But I mean, but you moved several times as a child. What was family life like?
Oh, well, I had a lot of family, and most of my mom's side lives in Chicago. They came up from Jamaica, and it was just a lot of moving around for a little bit for me. And I had friends here, friends over there, and it was just trying to get used to different people, meeting new people in different places like that. And then my father's side of the family, he's from Haiti, so my dad's side, some people were in Haiti, some people moved to Chicago, some people in New York, some people in Florida. So I kind of got a couple spread of places where my people are at. And it was just a lot, kind of. But I knew I grew up with my mom's side of the family, so I know all of them. Every time I go back to Chicago, I see all of them, and it's just good to kind of have them support me and stuff like that. And because like even during the Christmas we played in Georgia, I had some of my family from Chicago come down to see me, and it does help me, of course, and it's a good thing to feel and have, and to be able to know that my family does support me and I keep them proud and stuff like that. But it's cool.
But mom was a stickler for your grades, though, huh?
Yeah, for sure. She was on it. She made sure I had my grades. She grades was more important than anything. Basketball, friends, playing, all that stuff. Like, if my grades aren't good, I can't do anything. And she did a really good job of me realizing how important that is, and how I just got to keep going no matter what, keep getting my grades. And that's how she was, because most, like, with her, she's like one of the few in her family that went to college. So she sees how important education is and how successful she is. It's just her having that hard work and that ambition to still get her education no matter what.
What did she do for a living?
She works in financing. She was working with this computer company in Georgia, and she's worked for many great places, Granger, Allstate, all different places, and she's just been successful. Like, and that's the one thing when I think of my mother, I think successful, because she's independent, she's strong, she does everything, she makes sure things are done whenever she needs to, and she never settles. She's a hard worker, and I think I get that for sure from her.
Did you ever have a thought about maybe wanting to go into business? I mean, growing up, did Devontae have any dreams about what he wanted to be? You know, some kids want to be a fireman, some kids want to go to the moon or whatever. What did a young Devontae want to do? I know you were interested in sports, but any thoughts about what you wanted to do as a grown-up when you were a kid?
Not for sure, but coming into college, I did start my degree in business, and but that kind of went a little bit sideways for me. But I decided to change my major a little bit. But I do kind of want to follow my mom's footsteps in the business aspect of things. And the corporate world nowadays, there's so much type of business things going on.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like just staying in that guideline, staying on that track would definitely help me out and stuff like that. So that was kind of my idea before sports.
How did you break your wrist? I knew the story that you were a football player and you got hurt and then trying out to play basketball. But how did you break the wrist?
So it happened while I was playing football. We had a game. I think it was like the third game of the season, and I can't remember exactly what happened, but I do remember I kind of got hit one time and then I fell on it, and it just kind of cracked backwards. And once I just kind of heard the crack in it, and I didn't know what was really going on. I just kind of laid there for a second. My coach was like, lay down, lay down. And the principal at the time at Sequoia Middle School, he brought me to the emergency room, and then my mom came, and then they kind of told me what was going on. And of course, when they told me it was broken, I'm like, hey, that's tough. Like, it's the third game of the season, and I'm not gonna be able to play. By the time we got done healing, the season's gonna be over with. But it was just kind of like I said, timing of everything. Because if it didn't happen then, I might not be here right now.
Right.
But I put the cast on, everything like that, and just took the time for it to heal. But me being kind of hard-headed, I still wanted to play my last game in middle school. So I had my cast on, we wrapped it up, and I still played that last game. But I was happy I was able to play and just finish out on my football career, at least on the field, at least not on the court.
Had you gone to camps in the past, though, right? Basketball camps, and from what I did some research, maybe they kind of told you were a little undersized and kind of gave you a little incentive to want to be better as you started that whole growth spurt thing?
Yeah, and I didn't really get much of my criticism until I moved from Riverdale to Alpharetta and started playing basketball up there. And there was a lot more, of course, exposure in Alpharetta and North Atlanta than there was in Riverdale. And people saw me, and people did criticize me and said I was too small. And some of the camps that I did go to, it wasn't too many. I really only went to a couple from my junior to my senior year of high school. And most of the people were saying, like, he's athletic, he has a good motor, which they still say now. But every once in a while I hear a couple people say, oh, he's undersized, he doesn't do this, he doesn't do that. And, like, it does add to my fire, of course. And it's just kind of my drive to prove people wrong as to, like, yeah, I may be a little undersized, but there's some other things that people can't do as good as I can do. And there's been a lot of people that would say stuff, not even just about me, but maybe about a team, or they don't do this, they don't do that. And I feel like that should be drive for anybody, that if somebody doubts you or somebody thinks that you can't do this, you can't do that, show them what you can do. Show them you can do it really good. And I just kind of use that as fire. Even to this day, people still say stuff about me, but I like to hear it. Like, it just keeps me going.
I was going to say human nature would want to be able to prove those people wrong. And now, you may not remember everybody who said it, but I can imagine when some of those accomplishments were over, you just kind of put that in your pocket and say, okay, that's one down. I'm going to do it again. It seems to me like that fuels you when you get out on the court. Yeah,
definitely. I actually have a wristband that says prove them wrong. And I just kind of use that as my drive. I have to. Like, that's part of my ambition. It's part of my drive. It's part of why I work so hard to prove people wrong and show them, like, not even just for me to prove other people wrong, but to show other people that no matter what people say about you, no matter what people think about you, as long as you give it your all, you give it everything that you got, you can accomplish anything.
I know that as a big-time college basketball player, you have to kind of put the headlines at times out of the back of your mind. But one article I read, I don't know if it was the headline or the first or second line, said, "Who is this Cacok kid?" You were playing, I guess, out against Chattahoochee?
Yeah.
And that's apparently when you took a pretty major step forward in your career.
Yeah.
And really told people, I'm that Cacok kid, right? Is that how it played out?
Yeah, I remember that game like it was yesterday. It was in high school. It was my junior year, and this was at Alpharetta High School. And we played Chattahoochee. It was our rival. They were right down the street from us. And we had a lot of people come in, and it was Chattahoochee had a top recruit, 5-star guard. His name is Marcus Sheffield. He plays for Stanford. And me and him are pretty cool. And they came, played us at home. So a lot of people were there to see him. And that game, was a great game for me. But the thing is, I've been having those type of great games before, but nobody just saw me because I wasn't playing against top players like that. So we had a crowd. We had a lot of people there. We had hoop scene there, and they saw what I was doing, and I think I had like 25 some points, a lot of dunks, a lot of blocks, stuff like that, and just having that high motor that I try to continually have. And I think once they saw that and they wrote the article about me, it was a pretty well-known thing in Georgia, hoop scene, and I just kind of took off from there. Like, people started contacting me, AAU teams started contacting me, they started inviting me to camps, stuff like that, and it was a whole new system. It was a whole new learning experience for me. And once it went from AAU coaches to picking a team to playing over the summer to meeting new coaches in college and stuff like that, and then getting my first offer, it just kind of took over and took off from there.
How did you deal with that, though? I imagine that had to be just like a whirlwind of attention, and maybe for somebody who's not ready to deal with that, that could have been overwhelming. How did you deal with it?
It was definitely overwhelming. Like, it happened so fast too, because mostly people, they get recruited over all 4 years of high school, but for me, it all happened in one summer. Like, from the beginning of my junior year, nobody knew who I was. By the time I went into my senior year, I was committed to UNC Wilmington, and it was just, I think I had a good support group. I had my mother, I had Coach Brooks with me, I had Coach Miller, my AAU coach, and I had my high school coach, Coach Hurt, and we all just kind of took it all in. We had like a list of schools that had offered me. We wrote down everything as to what is positive and negative of each school, whether it be, is it too far, is it too close, is it too small, is it too big, academics, stuff like that. And with all those coaches and my mom having all the knowledge of what information we wanted to go over, it kind of helped me out, of course, to break down and make my decisions and where to go on visits and stuff like that. And like I said, it was of course a lot. I remember being on the phone until whenever, talking to new people, talking to coaches, talking to AAU teams that wanted me to play with them. But I think I handled it really well, and I think, of course, having that support group with my coaches and my mother to help me out really was beneficial for me.
Can you see how maybe for somebody who doesn't have that support system, how overwhelming it can be to somebody who maybe doesn't have the mom, the coaches, and the trust that you had in your support system?
Yeah, I can only imagine trying to go through this by yourself. Like, it's so much stuff. It's so much stuff that it's a new business, basically, that you have no idea what you're getting into. And going into something like that alone, it could just be, I could hardly imagine that. But I'm just blessed that I was able to have that, for sure.
Talk to me about Coach Brooks. Now, he apparently was really hard on you, to what I read, but beneficial to you in the long run, correct?
Yeah, and Coach Brooks, Coach Davis, he was my first head coach at Charles Drew High School in Riverdale. Those coaches and Coach Keats, they all had that hard-nosed mentality on me. And those three coaches really helped me to develop my game and to push through tough times and stuff like that, because it started with Coach Davis at Charles Drew. He broke me down. He was the first one to break me down. And, like, he broke me down and built me up from my freshman and sophomore year in high school to basically having my type of confidence in myself my junior and senior in high school. And just him being able to do something like that for me kind of opened my eyes, because, of course, at the time, I was young. I didn't know what he was doing. I thought he hated me. But once I realized what he was actually trying to do, he was trying to get the best out of me. And he knew I was capable of having that. And me and him, we have a great relationship. We talk every once in a while. And I saw him last time he was in Georgia. And he sees, like, everything that he pulled out of me. He's the one that started it for me. And I take that with me every time I'm on the court, as to having that confidence in myself and knowing what I'm capable of doing on the court. Mm-hmm. And him having that faith in me just really helps me having faith in myself.
And Coach Brooks the same way. He was the one known for hard work and really worked you hard. Yeah,
Coach Brooks, I met him in Alpharetta, and he basically I'd known him throughout my junior year, and then after I got done with high school at Alpharetta, he said he wanted to work me out. and I didn't have any trainer or anybody, and he's the only one that offered me some type of help that, of course, wasn't charged and nothing like that. So I was like, sure, let's do it. And he broke me down too. He broke me down to, like, we had some crazy workouts, we were in the weight room, straight to the court, stuff like that. And this is after the season. I'm like, yo, like, what are we doing? Like,
really?
we got to do all this. He's like, yeah, D, I'm trying to train you for the college, because he played at Alabama. He was a walk-on at the time, but
so he knew basically what you were going to get and was trying to prep you for it.
Yeah, like he's been a practicer, so he was like, I'm gonna get you ready for college, and it was some long nights. It was some crazy days when I was just straight up tired. I'm laying down on the ground just like, yo.
How close did you come? Did you ever come really close to just saying, I'm done?
Oh, it happened one time. It was one time he was working me out. It was crazy. And I'm literally, I feel like I'm about to die. I'm like, he's like, keep pushing. And, like, I'd actually quit. Like, I was just like, I can't do it, coach. I can't do it. And then he sat there for a second and he looked at me like, okay. And then I think I got up. I was like, let's try it again. He was like, hold on, D. You can't quit on me again. Like, this isn't a try it again type stuff. Like, you got to push through no matter what. Like, you can never do this again. And he told me if I ever quit on him again, he's never going to work me out again. And I still hear it to this day. I'm just like, all right, I can't quit. And, like, not even just in the workouts just with him, it's everything now. Like, whether it be me doing my regular workouts here, or whether it be me doing some of my schoolwork or something like that. Like, if I quit, I'm not going to have another chance. And that's a part of another thing that keeps pushing me as well, knowing, like, I can't quit, I can't stop, I got to keep pushing. And once I push and keep pushing myself, I'm going to feel a lot better at the end. So me learning that from him really helps me out for sure.
That's a pretty hard lesson for a 17 or an 18-year-old kid to take in and learn from.
Yeah, it was crazy, but it was a lesson I needed to learn, and I'm glad I learned it.
What was the biggest eye-opener about college and classwork and responsibility? Because you come into college, you're away from home, hey, let's go party or whatever it is. You're a college kid, you're here on scholarship, you're a basketball player, but you do have to go to class. You do have to keep the academic side of student-athlete up there. What was the toughest part of that?
I know for sure having a balance was the biggest thing for me. Being able to balance the workouts, balance the schoolwork, balancing study hall, stuff like that, and make sure I get everything done. That was a lot different than, of course, high school. High school was a lot more structured, there's a lot more set in the ways and stuff like that. With college, you're free. Like, it's up to you to get everything done. If you don't get your work done, the professors ain't gonna come to you about trying to get you to turn in your work. And it was me just kind of being organized and, of course, talking to my academic advisor, trying to stay on top of things, which I still do now, and just kind of being productive and proactive and being able to write down what I got to do this week, write down what's due next week, make a plan on when I'm going to finish my assignments and stuff like that, plus knowing when I'm going to do my extra work for basketball, stuff like that, knowing when we got practice, weights, when I can get extra workouts in and stuff like that. So it was all about having a good balance. I didn't want to do too much of one thing and not focus on other things, because then I'm going to end up lacking in one spot, and then it's going to end up bringing me down later on. So it was really just me having that balance and making sure I knew what I was doing and having a good time structure for everything.
I'm gonna cut half that sentence off and then say having a good time. Is there time for a social life? Is there time to have fun? Or with everything that you've got, are you focused on studies right now, basketball? Studies right now, basketball?
Well, like I said, too, it's about having a balance. You don't want to have too much fun, but you don't want to be straight into one simple thing. You want to have a good balance. I want to have a good balance. So knowing when is the right time to have fun and when is the time to lock in and focus on basketball or academics, stuff like that. And I feel like for me, it took time, of course, to have that maturity and be able to focus on a couple things. But like right now, I have my mainly focus is graduating, doing what I can on the court, having a social life, of course, but still focusing on what's important. And like I said, just having that good balance, not too much of one thing, not enough of the other, because that unbalanced thing will throw you off.
Sure.
So I try to keep that.
You know, I could sit here and go over all the statistics, leading the nation in field goal percentage as a sophomore, eclipsing 1,000 points as a junior, setting the rebounding mark at UNCW. How difficult is it to balance when you're starting to see some of the successes that you had? As a freshman, the team did well. As a sophomore, you did well. As a sophomore, you got 1,000 points. As you're balancing all that, how high or how difficult is it not to get, wow, I'm Devontae Cacok. I went to the NCAAs. I scored 1,000 points. I led the nation in field goal percentage. Who balances you in that way?
I think I really do hold myself accountable as to not over exceeding my success. And I know I've done a lot of things, but I don't let it get to my head. I don't let anything really make me feel like I've done something greater than anybody else, because I still have a lot of things that I could accomplish. I still have a lot of things that I could work on my game and stuff like that. And yeah, I may have done a lot of things, but I like to stay humble. I like to look at what I've done and be like, I could do better. There's still more I could do. There's still more I could do to help my team. There's still more that I could do to help, not even just on the basketball court, but help other people off the court. And just kind of having that accountability to myself as to, yeah, I'm Devontae Cacok, but I can help a lot of other people as well. And I really try to keep that, and I try to not let the statistics and stuff like that get to my head, because at the end of the day, they're just numbers. And that's all that they really are. And I try to just have my head on my shoulders and just stay focused on helping my team and helping other people. And I get more joy of doing that than just looking at stats and thinking like, yeah, I did that, or I'm Devontae Cacok, I can do this. Because I'm not that type of person. So I kind of...
You're an impressive young man, because most 19, 20, 21-year-olds would, go on Instagram, basketball, 1,000th rebound, here it is right here, or get the... And that's just human nature, I think.
Right.
Don't you agree?
Yeah, I definitely do agree. Some people, of course, I feel like some people in my position, they would handle the success a lot differently than I would. And I kind of do think about that sometimes. But I do think about it as like, I'm not them and they're not me. So I got to handle this the way I would want to handle it. And like, I do get that too from my mother. Just having a success, but being happy with the success. And not letting it go overblown and having it go to my head and stuff like that. And people to this day, they'll ask me like, yo, like, Devontae, you really did this? And I'm like, yeah, they'll be more hype about it than I am. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of crazy, of course, to see it, but...
Like the guys in the sports information office who are pumping out all those headlines and press releases, right?
Yeah, like, it just keeps on coming, but, like, I just try to just... Like, of course, it's fun to have. It's good to have the stats and stuff like that. And I'm definitely proud of myself for seeing where I came from my freshman year to my senior year. And I just pride myself in knowing, like, this all happened from hard work. So as long as I keep working hard, especially in the next level, I'm going to just keep doing as much as I can.
Before each game, is it true that you write down a goal?
It's not true that I actually write down a goal.
Or do you set a goal?
Yeah, I have goals set for each game. So the beginning of the season, every season, what I've done, I learned that in order to accomplish things or to get somewhere, you got to have a plan. So you got to have goals in order to reach that end goal that you want. So for me, I have individual goals for each game, and then I have goals for the season as a team. So each of those are the same each game. So I started off with the goals that I have, and actually for this year is the same as last year, and it's hard to believe that I really didn't even reach my goals like that. I kind of set my goals up at a high standard, but at a standard that could possibly be obtainable. So, like, for example, 2 of my goals for last year individually was averaging 20 points a game and averaging 14 rebounds a game. Those are my goals. I didn't accomplish it, but I was pretty close. Yeah. And if you look at the rebounding, I averaged, I think, 13.5 last year, and I led the nation in that. But I had my goal set for 14 a game. So I set my goal up high enough to, like, it's still possible. It still could have been possible last year for me to do that. I still feel like it's possible for me to do it again this year. I just got to keep working and keep doing as much as I can in that aspect of rebounding and stuff like that. And then for my team goals, I have it as like I want to win the CAA tournament. I want to go back to the NCAA tournament. I want to have a certain amount of wins. Stuff like that carries over for like the full season and us as a team being successful together. So that's kind of how I broke down my goals.
Mm-hmm. Is it rebounding? Is it just sheer determination? Is it right place, right time? Because I've read CB said in an article that, rebounding is just me against the other guy. Whoever wants that ball more is going to get it. But I would think that if one guy's in a better spot than you, it's going to be easier for him to get it. What is your philosophy? Is it just flat-out determination, I'm going to beat you to that ball?
I definitely think it's that, a little bit for sure, but also being at the right place at the right time. It's a balance. Everything's a balance. But I do feel like the way I rebound, I'm pretty good at rebounding outside of my area. So somebody might be in the right place at the right time, and I might be across the court, but I might still go try and go get it, and I actually might still get it over them just because I have that determination of wanting it more. And that's where it comes to having that drive and, oh, yeah, I want the basketball more than he does, so I'm going to go get it. So that's partly with it. And, like, sometimes I am in the right spot at the right time. Sometimes, like, I think even last game, Coach Burke brought it up to me. I got knocked down on the offense. We're on offense. I got knocked down. I was on the floor, and we shot the ball. Somehow I got up, jumped straight up, and got the offensive rebound to go back up to get fouled. And I was on the ground. So, and I saw it on the film, too, and I'm like, I don't know how I did it, but I did it. Yeah. But it's kind of like I had that determination, like, I'm going to go get that ball, even if I'm on the ground, stuff like that. So having that determination, of course, like, I want it more than anybody else on the court wants it. So I'm going to go get it.
Philosophical question for you. When Coach Keats left, did you at any point in time come close to dropping out and transferring?
It was a lot going on, of course. A lot of things were going through my mind, and it was just a interesting time for me. But I stayed, and I'm happy with my decision with staying here.
Yeah, because you hear the discussions about, is it fair for a coach to be able to leave, yet if a student wants to leave, they've got to sit out a year. Is that fair as an athlete that you should have to wait a year if you want to transfer?
That is an interesting topic that did come to my attention, how coaches can just leave whenever, but players do have to sit out.
From the athlete's point of view, I'm curious as to what you think.
I think there should be some type of thing where, like, if a coach leaves, the players on that team shouldn't have to sit out a year after that if they decided to transfer. Like, for example, we had a transfer come in under Keith, I believe, and he left, and by the time Keith left, his sit-out year was already done. So if he wanted to transfer, he was going to have to sit out a year again after he'd been recruited from that coach. So I think in that aspect, like, for sure, if a coach leaves, that players should be able to transfer without having to sit out for that year. But I do notice, too, like other sports, they don't have to sit out. I think soccer, you could transfer without sitting out. Other sports, swim, stuff like that, I don't think you have to sit out. But, like, football and basketball, I think you have to sit out a year regardless of what's going on.
Should college athletes get a stipend?
That's an interesting question, too.
You've heard the discussions as well. I mean, some of these high-profile athletes, they sell Notre Dame, Oklahoma, UNCW jerseys with names on the back. It's going to the athletic department. You're getting a scholarship. You're getting an education. Where should the balance be?
I don't know. It's tough with that one because I do feel like the athletes for universities do make a lot of money for the schools, especially high majors. Like, they make millions of dollars for the schools. The coaches get paid millions and millions of dollars, and the athletes, they get scholarships and stuff like that. But to some people, it's not enough as to them giving up their body. Mm-hmm. But for some, they're getting a scholarship. They don't have to worry about student loans after college. You're playing at a D1 university. You're getting a D1. You're getting education from a college.
Sure.
So some people feel like that's enough. But it all depends on the person, I feel like. And different people will give you different answers on what they believe on that. But I feel like there needs to be a balance to some extent, too, as well, with that.
How does Devontae balance social media? When I was in high school, we didn't have that. Now, everywhere you go, somebody's got one of those.
Right.
And when they see Devontae Cacok, wow, Devontae Cacok's most favorite sandwich at Subway is a cheese melt and everything else. How do you balance that? Because there are going to be people taking your picture wherever you're going. You may not even know it. So do you have to be on guard no matter where you go?
Yeah, I feel like anybody that plays sports for university, they have to present themselves at a higher standard. Because people recognize us, people know who we are, stuff like that. And you don't want to be seen doing something that you probably shouldn't be doing. You want to be seen doing something that you should be doing and present yourself as a respectful person and stuff like that. You don't want to be seen doing other things that you really shouldn't be doing. And you represent the university. It's more kind of bigger than yourself. Like some people, of course, would think differently. Everybody has their own opinion. But that's how I feel, and I feel like when I'm out, I hold myself to a standard. Social media, I'm not too into social media like that as some people are, but I do have like a little balance of it and stuff like that. And I do realize people recognize me where I go in Wilmington and stuff like that, and I want to make sure that I'm not really doing things I shouldn't be doing, which I really don't do anyway, but just making sure I know my surroundings and making sure like I'm representing the university in a positive way.
Yeah, because on Instagram, you don't do a lot of posting. You do a lot of retweets of others with a saying or with something that you agree with, or say, "Hey, think about this." You're pretty limited on a lot of your social media interaction.
Yeah, and like I said, I do that on purpose. I try to just stay in my lane and watch from a distance and stuff like that. And if I agree with someone or I think of like, oh, I can relate, I might retweet a little something like that. But I never really, like I said, I don't really get too much with the social media because social media can be do or die for some people. Like you post the wrong thing and that could go a long way, and it could have been in a way that you didn't even intend for it to go. So I just try to be careful, and I feel like if I can't show my mother, then I'm not gonna post it.
What do you do when you have time to yourself? Devontae's got an afternoon off. You don't have to practice. You have no classes, and they just tell you to go have Devontae time. What do you do to relax? What do you do to have fun?
I don't really do too much, but I'm a PlayStation guy.
Uh-oh.
So I play a little bit of Call of Duty.
Are you good at it?
Oh, yeah. I'm nice. I'm nice with the Call of Duty. But, yeah, nothing too crazy. Just play some games. Like I said, I got my dog. I take him out, run around, throw some tree branches. He'll go get it, stuff like that. And nothing too crazy. We got a beach, so I like to go to the beach every once in a while.
I was going to ask you, how often, what are your favorite places in the area? Do you go downtown? Do you go to the beach? You just kind of go and spend some time and let the mind just kind of wash out a little bit?
Yeah, definitely at the beach. I haven't gone too much this year just because I've been a little bit too busy. But when I have a little bit of free time, I go down there, just kind of relax. Like having a beach, I don't know where I'm going to be in the next couple months, so I might not have a beach anymore. So I kind of try to enjoy it and take what I have and be grateful with it. So I'll take that and enjoy it.
Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? 5 years from today, what do you hope to be doing?
I want to still be playing basketball. 5 years from now, playing professionally, wherever it may be. I just hope that I'm in a good situation and I'm happy and playing for a good team that really wants me there.
And where would that be? Here? Would that be overseas? Have you talked to experts as to where you might fit in the NBA, to where you might fit in overseas? What have the experts or those who you trust told you?
I feel like I'm definitely able to play in the NBA for sure. And I feel like because of where I'm at in Wilmington, it's kind of considered mid-major and stuff like that. I just kind of need that chance for the NBA. And I do feel confident that I can play overseas for sure. And with my high motor, and people have compared me to Kenneth Faried and Montrezl Harrell and stuff, and us being undersized, but us having that motor and that drive to and having that athleticism really helps us and sets us apart from other people. But I definitely do feel like I have a great chance, and if I just keep working and doing as much as I can in the court, I feel like I can put myself in a good position.
When you're out on the basketball court and fans are watching Devontae, what should they know about your mindset out there? They know that you're out there trying to score. They know you're out there trying to win. But what do you want them to know about your mindset on the basketball court?
I want them to know that I'm giving it my all. I'm trying to put my team in a great position to win by me doing as much as I can on the court, whether it just be getting a rebound, getting a deflection, getting a steal, scoring, anything that I can to try to give everything to UNCW basketball, and trying to make sure everybody understands that I'm for my team and I'm not for myself. And I've been like that since I've been here. I've never once tried to put myself before my team and anything like that. I try to make it as a team thing. And my freshman, sophomore year, I really saw that it's a team and we win as a team. Like the winning that we did back then, it was because everybody did their part, everybody did their role to the best of their ability, whether from the coaches all the way down to people on the bench. Like some people, like, they might not remember, but I was a bench player my freshman year. Like, and this didn't just happen overnight. It took so much time and hard work to get to where I'm at now, and I still have plenty of stuff I got to work on even more. But realizing where I came from being that bench player to being somebody that nobody really knew to becoming who I am today, that's partly why it keeps me humble and keeps me understanding that it's a team thing, and we all got to do this as a team. Like the winning and all that, it doesn't happen overnight. It takes blood, sweat, and tears to be successful on the court. And it takes everybody to buy into the program and buy into the coaches and buy into wanting to be successful.
Do you hear the fans?
Oh, yes. Every time. I hear the fans in the background be like, go Devontae. I hear the fans, go Seahawks, all that stuff. And
do you also hear the other ones when you're playing like at Hofstra saying, you know, you're no good or whatever?
Oh,
Do they get on you, and is it difficult to put that out? Because I know you've probably got yourself tuned to hear Coach McGrath, because they say that the coaches register in there, and whatever they say you probably hear. But how much do the fans either help you or maybe distract you at times?
Oh, I've heard so much stuff coming up. Like the last 3 years, people kind of know who we are, who I am, stuff like that. So it's really just been easy to just kind of put it behind me. And like when they see that they don't get a reaction out of me, it kind of discourages them. So the negative talkers,
right,
of course. So that's just kind of like I'll hear it. Like I might laugh in my mind and be like, yeah, that was kind of funny, but they won't see it. But most of the stuff I just ignore it. Like that's what people have to do nowadays in the game. Like people are gonna try and get stuff to try to say stuff to try and get in your mind and stuff like that. And if you let them in your mind, then you're letting them win. So I don't have time to worry about what the opposing teams' fans have to say about me. They can say whatever they want about me, honestly. Like, I'm not going to do nothing. Like, I'm just going to show it on the court. So, if anything, that might drive me some more to be like, all right, I got something for you. But, like I said, I don't let it get to me. That's just stuff you got to tune out, and that's part of just being mature. Like, some people, they hear some stuff, they be like, oh, like, they really said that. And then they start thinking about the fans, and you're not worried about the game. You're not worried about your assignment and what we were taught from the coaches on what we want to do on the court. So you don't want to let other people outside the game distract you from in the game. And
you don't want to let mom know that they distracted you, right? Because that sounds to me like that wouldn't be a good idea.
Yeah, not at all. Not at all.
Congratulations on all your success. You have done tremendously well since you got here. You became a basketball player that a lot of people look up to on and off the court, and we're glad that you have spent all this time in Wilmington. I think the city and this community has been better having you in it since you arrived.
Thank you. I love being here. I'm glad I was able to make my commitment to UNC Wilmington and seeing, like I said, where I came from to being as successful as I am now. Just giving it all for Wilmington, and I love the city. I love the people. I met so many people since I've been here. It's been crazy, and they know that I do it for the city, basically, and I just try to give it all that I have, and I pride myself for UNC Wilmington, and I always have.
and you're going to be in the record books, the all-time leading rebounder. Congratulations on that. But I think long after those books and everything else like that are written, people are going to remember the impact you had. Devontae, thanks for the time today. I appreciate it. It's been fun to get to know you a little bit more and see the smile. Boy, you've got a smile that lights up a room, I'll tell you what.
Thank you. I appreciate you. Thank you for having me as well.
A big thank you to Devontae Cacok for sparing some of his time and coming to our studio for this week's podcast interview. You can watch Devontae and the Seahawks as they gear up for another CAA basketball tournament, trying to earn a spot back in the NCAA's March Madness Big Dance. You can follow Devontae on social media, on Twitter and on Instagram, and the Seahawk basketball team is also active on Twitter and Instagram as well. Before we go, I would like to ask you once again to please rate and review our podcast. Let me know what you think of the work we do here every week. Your ratings and reviews do go a long way in helping with our listings on the podcast apps like the one you're using right now. I'm John Evans. Thanks for joining us for this week's episode of One on One.